Hey, what's going on, family and friends? I am your host, Terrence Manning. Thank you for tuning in. This is My Thoughts Uncut, and we're going to talk about Jasmine Crockett's CNN interview, her disastrous interview yet again. You know what? Let's just get right to it.
My source tonight sits on the House Oversight Committee, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. And thank you for being here because now this clock has started with the president signing this bill behind closed doors tonight. Pam Bondi, the attorney general, was asked earlier today about releasing everything. She repeatedly said, "We will follow the law." Do you expect that you'll get all of these documents by December 18th?
I do not. I absolutely don't expect that, especially when you start to say things like Pam Bondi said she will follow the law, because the only thing that we have seen consistently out of this administration, whether we're talking about the failed prosecution of Comey, and I'm saying failed because that is absolutely what I anticipate is going to happen, we know that they are always doing the opposite of
What we consistently see is Democratic Party going on different media outlets and spewing hate and spewing nonsense and not actually doing their jobs. I've never seen her actually do anything inside of Congress instead of just go against Trump. I haven't seen her fight for her own people in Texas. I don't even know what she does. She's a congresswoman, but does she really work?
following the law. Every time we look at those court orders that they have ignored, they have literally put us in this constitutional crisis in this country, because for the first time, we have another branch of government that seemingly thinks that what other branches have to say, well, you know what, that's advisory. It's not anything that they have to follow. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I don't expect transparency.
The president said tonight he thinks it's going to end up being really embarrassing for Democrats. Are you worried that it's going to be embarrassing for
I'm not worried at all. I can tell you one thing. I ain't never worried about my name being in the Epstein file.
Oh my gosh, why is she speaking so ignorantly? Just speak normal. Why are you trying to use slang and trying to be down? This is what irks me about her. Instead of just speaking the way she did prior to her being in a member of Congress, she wants to seem like she fits in, but that's not fitting in. Talking ignorant and always talking with slang. There's a time and a place for that amongst your family and friends privately, but when you're on national television, conduct yourself much more professionally. Jesus. And this is bad for Democrats because everything coming out so far has been negatively reported on the Democratic side. When it comes to Hakeem Jeffries, the emails that he's had trying to solicit funds from him, from Epstein, when it comes to the gentleman who resigned from Harvard, and he also sent out an apology, and the actual congresswoman who was getting text messages in real time while she was conducting a House hearing, literally a congressional hearing. She was getting text messages from Epstein. And this was after he was convicted in 2019. So right now it's looking bad for Democrats. And I believe that Trump purposely did this. Yeah, I think he set them up. I think he waited for the Epstein files to really be a big story. And he knew that the Democrats would be against this if he was for this. So I think he's been playing chess while they're playing checkers. He knows each time the Democratic Party sees something he's trying to accomplish that they go the complete opposite. So he said, you know what? Maybe we should go the opposite way with these Epstein files. That way, the Democratic Party would go, oh, okay, release them. Not understanding that they're going to be the ones that hurt. Genius.
So that's one thing that we can talk about. Number two, for me, is not partisan. As somebody that worked in the criminal justice system, I understand what it is to sit across from a victim. I understand their stories. I understand the trauma, and I understand the lasting effects. Wrong is wrong, right is right. And I think that that is what we are missing in this administration. It seems like he consistently wants to give a pass so long as someone is a follower of his. That's what we saw with the January 6ers, that he decided that he was going to pardon. And then even after they got in trouble again, he decided to pardon them again. He seemingly only wants to go after people that he looks at as if they are opposition.
So she's stating that he only gets people on his side a pass, which is false. The Democratic Party gives everyone passes. They give illegal immigrants a pass. They give criminal a pass. They give their own congressmen and women have passed when it comes to being able to trade on the market, which should be illegal. They should not participate in stock market trading. They give all these people passes, yet they don't condemn their own.
We in this country, what justice looks like is going after whoever is wrong, no matter their race, no matter their political affiliation, and no matter how much money they do or don't have in the bank account.
So you're saying, yeah, you don't care even if it doesn't embarrass
care.
Democrats.
I don't care. That's not what this is about. To me, it's not political. We need to make sure that we understand how it was that this was able to take place, and we need to make sure that we tear down those structures. We have an obligation as legislators to make sure that we do better by the people in this country. We need to make sure that there are no other children that end up in similar circumstances, whether Jeffrey Epstein is alive or dead.
I agree on that part. But however, I would say that if you care that much about the children, why don't you care about the children that are being trafficked via illegal immigration? Yeah. Why don't you care about the women that are being sex trafficked because of illegal immigration? Why don't you care about the young men and women, the kids that are being kidnapped in cities and states? Why don't you care about your own state in Texas as much as you care about going after Trump? And the only reason she's doing this is because she thinks these Epstein files is going to condemn Trump in some way, or perhaps maybe someone that's in his office in the administration. But she don't care about these people. She only cares about her own interests, and her own interest is to attack Trump no matter what.
We need to make sure, because it wasn't just one man. This was a system, a sophisticated system that was set up. And so we need to make sure that there are no other victims going forward.
One Democrat who's been on defense over Jeffrey Epstein is Stacey Plaskett. She represents the Virgin Islands. She was texting with Jeffrey Epstein the day of Michael Cohen's hearing. Her questions pretty closely followed the text messages between the two of them to ask about Rona Graff, Trump's longtime assistant. You were defending her today and recent days, yesterday, and you talked about Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said.
Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign.
No freaking relation, you
Do you want to correct the record on the people that
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein, just so that people understand when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they just...
Okay. One, she should have just said, I made a mistake. Instead of trying to double down on the fact that you didn't know that there was a different Jeffrey Epstein that donated, you are trying to bob and weave your way, pun intended because of her hair, out of this situation. Not only that, are you stupid? Don't you realize that Epstein was a Democrat and he donated an enormous amount of money to the Democratic Party? So you're condemning your own people unknowingly. You thought you had a gotcha moment with Republicans, but in reality, it shows how ignorant and how dumb you are, because you basically got the wrong person and you're still not trying to apologize. So why would people believe or trust you as a Congress member if you can't even hold yourself accountable and you made a mistake? Just apologize.
Decided to spring this on us in real time. I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies.
She's literally lying through her teeth on air at the moment. She's just lying. A Jeffrey Epstein, you know what you're implying when you say a Jeffrey Epstein. Let's just pretend we did believe her and she was being honest about this. Why even mention Jeffrey Epstein if it's not the one that we're currently talking about? If it's a totally different Epstein, why mention that person? Why mention the name that he donated? He got donations from a different Epstein when you know what it implies. You were banking on no one knowing, or you were ignorant in the fact that it was a different Epstein. Either way, there's egg on your face. And these are the politicians that are supposed to be running our country and helping legislate laws. These are the people. She couldn't even get this right.
Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein. So at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor
That is
is?
misleading people, you moron.
So I will trust and take what he says is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
a registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out.
You are responsible for what you spew out. You are responsible for your team. You're the leader. Just like if something would have happened in Trump administration, you blame Trump, even if he's not involved in it. You told your team to do this. You didn't do your due diligence. You look completely foolish, stupid, and completely ignorant. And you should just sit down somewhere and just go back on vacation. You've been on vacation since you've been working, but you should stop.
From just doing a quick search on FEC. So number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein because I knew that we would need more
Does
time.
she think we're dumb?
Well, Stacey Plaskett was texting the Jeffrey Epstein that we're
Correct.
all talking about. You voted against the censure for her to remove her from her committees. You know, we pressed the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, on this last night. Maybe you don't think she should be removed from her committees.
Correct.
But why do so many Democrats seem unwilling to say it's inappropriate to be texting with a registered sex offender about what you're going to ask a witness at a congressional hearing?
So I'm not going to necessarily say that that's the case. Now, this is somebody that was a former prosecutor. Now, I haven't sat down and talked.
She just spewed that Epstein was a vile man and we need to protect these women and kids from the tragic things that they've been through in the past and prevent any other women and minors from experiencing the same things. And then she goes and says that's different because this woman was texting him after he was convicted while she's at a congressional hearing. Is there no accountability in the Democratic Party whatsoever? If I was a Democratic member, I would stay away from her because this can't be your leader. If this is your leader, may God help you because you're not winning anytime soon. If she's the one that you think is going to take you guys back to the promised land and being in power in 2028, then all of you are ridiculous.
Talked about the specifics of why Stacey was doing what she was doing. I know that when she got up and she spoke, she talked about the fact that this was one of her constituents. At the end of the day, what I know of prosecutors is that they are typically talking to co-defendants. They are typically talking to the people that have the best information. And what you had was you had the former attorney for the president that was sitting there. And honestly, we knew, or she knew, or at least Jeffrey Epstein presented that he was very cozy with the president. He had more information, registered sex offender or not. The bigger question is, why is it that the president was so cozy with a registered sex offender even after he ultimately ended up with some of his convictions?
Trump actually kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, which everyone knows, and he wasn't talking to him for decades. It was actually during Trump's first administration that Epstein was convicted of the crimes that he committed and he was jailed. So I don't understand what she's talking about. And you're trying to not hold someone accountable that was texting him, but hold someone accountable that distanced themselves from him because they saw what kind of a douchebag and animal this person was. And this is a prime example of just because you have been educated and you got your degree, your college degree, doesn't mean that you are actually intelligent or smart or wise. She's using zero critical thinking skills. And I would hope she's doing this on purpose, but 98% of me is saying that this is how she is because every time she speaks, it's just ignorance and stupidity, and there's just no logic behind anything she says.
Convictions. And seemingly, he had absolutely been on the plane with him. We know about the birthday card. The bigger question is, why is the president of the United States not the one that is in the hot seat for his relationship, instead of us saying, oh, you know what, we're going to take her off of her committee because he decided to text her. Stacey didn't initiate that chain. Jeffrey initiated that chain, and she took the information.
In order for him to text her, she would have had to give him her number, whether she gave it to him face to face or she gave someone permission to give Epstein her number. Either way, that's pretty close in my opinion if someone's texting you.
Just like if somebody texts me.
Yeah, but she was responding and saying, you know, what are you talking about? Quick, I'm up next. And then her questions were about Rona. But do you think that was inappropriate? I mean, would you text with someone who is a registered sex offender about what you should ask?
I honestly know that he had never been convicted of any federal crimes at that time.
But he had been in jail already.
He had been in jail.
This woman's not even making sense. Did you hear what she said? She said at that time he wasn't convicted of any crimes. But then years prior to that, Trump was with him, and she's trying to condemn him for that. So prior to him being convicted, Trump was friends with him. Fast forward, Trump distanced himself from Epstein. And fast forward even more, during that congressional hearing where the female congresswoman texts Epstein, he was already convicted. He was already a sex offender and a predator. We already knew this. He was in jail, on his way to jail. So we all knew this. So she's talking out her ear. Like, she's not even making sense.
And my deal is this. The Republicans are constantly texting with a 34 count convicted felon. So if it's okay for them to text him at any point in time, then I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong, especially to the.
And here's why I say she uses no critical thinking skills and no logic whatsoever. Let's just say Trump is guilty of the financial fraud that they said he committed, which I don't believe. Is that worse than texting someone who is a committed sex offender and child rapist? I don't think it's even apples to apples or orange to oranges. It's completely different. But I would rather text someone who had financial issues and got committed of fraud than someone who is a child molester and a child rapist and a sex offender. It doesn't even make sense what she's saying. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is it me? Am I crazy? Or is it me, guys? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.